Hey, how we all doing? Now, this is my first JoyToy. I've not been particularly bothered about them up until now. I've wanted to have a little play with one or two, but I'm not really fussed about collecting them. But I knew that if ever they was to do the Horus Heresy, I would at least want to get all the Primarchs and probably Loken, if they ever get around to doing Loken, because I really like that character. He's the only sort of like really human character I've come across so far in, or rather decent human character I've come across so far in the Horus Heresy. So when I saw this one, I thought, well, I better get it, hadn't I, before it all sells out. And it's here! So let's have a look at it. So there he is, Mr. Rogal Dorn, Primarch of the Imperial Fists. Look at him, he looks more like a Custodes, doesn't he, in that golden armour? Love it, very nice. So he comes with multiple hands, he's got his gun, he's got his nice big chainsaw by the look of it, backpack there, and his robes. And what are these? Are they some kind of grenade or something? I suppose there's only one way to find out. And now, without that film on it, you can have a better look at the box art. Alright, enough of what's on the outside of the box. Let's see what's on the inside. Okay, so it seems to come packaged slightly differently from the only other one of these I've seen open is one of the Death Corps of Krieg, and they have like a thin vacuum formed plastic interior box. This one has a precision cut foam interior. Nice.
Rogal Dorn, known as the Vigilant, the Praetorian of Terror, and the Unyielding One, and to his Gene sons by the wall name of Defiance, was the Primarch of the Imperial Fist Space Marine Legion, and one of the greatest heroes in the history of the Imperium of Man. A being of thunderous zeal and stone made manifest is how many describe the Primarch of the 7th Legion. He had a stern and naturally unsmiling face, topped with an unruly shock of short, bone-white hair. His zeal was the fire of a son who believed in his father's dream for the Imperium without reservation and without question. To Rogal Dorn there was no higher purpose to the existence of the Legiones Astartes than the unification of mankind and the illumination of the Imperium's ideals. This idealism drove Dorn and his legion ever onwards, never compromising, never stinting in any aspect of duty. The stone in his soul was his ability to bear whatever his father needed of him, an unyielding nature which made him both a master of defense in war and an indomitable aggressor on the attack. If the Primarchs were the Emperor's nature split like white light through the prism's rays, as many Imperial scholars of the Imperial Court suggested during the Great Crusade, then from such a point of view Rogal Dorn was the Emperor's implacable disciple in the pursuit of his cause given flesh, without compromise, and in who loyalty and duty was as integral as blood and breath. It was perhaps for this reason that even before the betrayal of Horus, the Emperor named Dorn the Praetorian of Terror and drew him to his side far away from the War Master and his newly forged command. To some among his brother Primarchs, this served only to distance him and his legion further from them, and those among them who had seen the sins of hubris and obstinacy in Dorn's undoubted stubbornness and pride saw this aggrandizement as a further cause for discord and disquiet. It was Dorn who supervised the construction of the formidable defences of the Imperial Palace in the Himalaysian mountains on Terra that would be sorely tested by the forces of chaos during the epic climax of the Horus Heresy in the terrible Siege of Terra. And it was Dorn who would find the broken body of the Emperor upon the battleship Vengeful Spirit after his terrible final duel with Horus. Dorn placed the Emperor's broken body upon the Golden Throne and received his last spoken instructions on how to shape the future of the war-devastated Imperium. Rogal Dorn allegedly died fighting aboard the Space Marine vessel in the late 31st millennium, after attacking the First Barrack Crusades war fleet with a vastly outnumbered Imperial force. Seeing the importance of attacking the enemy fleet while still preparing to invade Imperial space, he relied on hit-and-run attacks until his reinforcements could arrive. Dorn was believed slain aboard the Chaos Despoiler-class battleship, Sword of Sacrilege, after leading a desperate attack on its bridge. But in fact, the Imperial Fists and their successor chapters believe that Dorn is still alive somewhere, and may yet return when the Imperium needs him most.
So what do I actually think of Rogal Dorn? This figure anyway of Rogal Dorn. I don't think too much of the character. What do I think of this figure? I've got to say, I like it. I think it's a really, really cool figure. Yeah, I think it's a pretty good figure. It's got articulation. It's as much articulation as you would expect for something so chunky. You know, that it's got double joints at the knees. It's got toes. It's got twisty ball joints, whatnot at the feet, at the ankles, hip joints. They've got really good posability on them. Ball jointed hands, double jointed elbows. It's got swing out and pivot movement on the shoulder as well as spin. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it in terms of articulation. It's really great. I mean, I suppose some people might say that they want articulated hands, you know, fingers. I don't think they need it. That's why they give you multiple hands, you know, for that exact reason. Face sculpt, I think is absolutely brilliant. Whether or not it looks like the character's supposed to look, or whether or not there's been artistic liberties taken by JoyToy, I don't know. But I think it's brilliant. One thing I did notice straight out of the box though is this was left lying in the box when I took it out, which is the eagle crest that sits in the armour. Now if you look at the top of the armour where it's come from, it looks to me like it was glued and that the glue's failed or it's cracked, and fair enough, it means I need to glue it back in place. Should it have broken? Probably not, but I get why it has. It's not a big deal. It's not a deal breaker. The one issue I do have with this figure is that there was a splodge of paint on the back of the cape that shouldn't have been there. Some of this gold plate, I don't know if it's touched something and then when it's been laid down it's got on the cape. I don't know, but it was right there. And you can see there are some remnants of the gold paint left on the cape. And you can also see some scuff marks from where I've tried to remove the paint. I got some of it off, not all of it. But that soured it a little bit for me. I'm not too bothered because it's at the back of the cape and it's only ever going to be displayed facing forward, so it's not a huge deal. But for a £100 plus figure, it irks me a little bit. Now I am going to get in touch with Shorzy, where I got it from, and see whether or not they will offer me a partial refund. I'm not too hopeful because I've also already contacted them about something else that arrived absolutely destroyed and they've not even responded, and it's been 2 days now. So I'm not too hopeful, even though other people seem to have given fantastic feedback. But we'll see, won't we? We'll see. Detail-wise, spot on. You know, the details on this figure are absolutely amazing. It's fantastic. Bearing in mind as well, this is supposed to be to scale with other 1/18 scale figures. So that makes it 3 3/4 scale. So that makes it in scale with Star Wars figures. Shall we see it next to a Star Wars figure? Okay. Let's go with Revan. So if you ever wondered how tall a Primarch would look beside a normal 6 foot tall figure, or 6 foot tall character, there you are. That's insane! Insane! I mean, a normal Space Marine is supposed to be about 8 or 9 foot tall, which would put a Space Marine, what, up to the top of the forearm there? So he's bigger than, obviously, another Space Marine would be, because he's a Primarch. Wow! Could you imagine a human in the same room as this guy? That is an imposing stature. Very imposing. Fantastic piece of kit, I think. Apart from the... yeah, the backpack comes off. I forgot about that. The backpack comes... it's meant to come off. I think it's meant to come off. Is it meant to come off? Yeah, there's no glue. No glue there at all. It is meant to come off, is that? I don't know why though, but I suppose if I get a replacement cape, it'll make it easy, make for much easier access. Maybe that's why we're expecting to have to replace capes. But no, I'm happy with it overall. I think that the 20 legions, weren't they? So if I end up getting 20 Primarchs, I don't think all 20 are known, but if I end up getting 20 Primarchs, can you imagine? Display of them. Oh, very nice. I wonder if they're going to be holding Horus out for last. Probably holding Horus out for last. Anyway, that's as much as I can give you for a review. I'm happy with it. Very happy with it. One minor niggle, but it is what it is. Yeah. It's a keeper for me. It's a keeper. So this is the first review I've done like this. If you like it, remember to smash that like button, and if you haven't already subscribed, do that as well. And if you want to be notified of every other video that I put up, remember to just ring that little ding-a-ling. Right, okay, I think that's it, so catch you again in the next one. Bye-bye!